What's going on, guys? Dr. Saz here. You can just call me Saz. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. Today I have a self-critique of a drawing I did that was originally supposed to be part of my How I Tackle series. So I did a front view with Gage from Borderlands 2. I did a side view from of Cammy from Street Fighter 6, and this was intended to be a 3/4 addition to that playlist, but due to very stupid mistakes I've made, and from my line weight to the shading of the face to some placements of some facial features that I very clearly messed up on the drawing, and that I would like to go over in this self-critique. As I start off every drawing, I do a box and I highlight all the facial features. I drag them over, get all the major shapes in, and I just go to town, right? I should have stuck with the original placement of the nose. I think I lowered the nose and the mouth a little bit, and it just kind of looks off. And what I did not notice until now is I got the head tilt wrong. I didn't realize that it was a head tilt until I looked at it just now, but I just naturally assumed she was just three-fourths looking straight ahead, but she's actually tilting her head down a little, which kind of contributed to why the drawing did not look as good as I was led to, as I led myself to believe. And there were a lot of mistakes I've made with my brush choice, my line weight, placement of the nose, and just shading overall that turned this from a decent drawing into a bad drawing. We'll just let past Arctic Saz draw, and then I'm going to talk about it a little bit more when we get into shading. Also, don't follow what I drew in the original outline for some of the aspects of this drawing, which just made it a little worse. So right away I can kind of tell, like, her nose is a little messed up in terms of the 3/4 shape. I've been saying this for a while now in some of my drawings, but I really need to start practicing a variety of nose shapes because my noses aren't that great. I also had shifted the eyes from down here and I moved them up a little along with the eyebrows. Since I did not realize her head was tilted, I drew it in a straight on 3/4 view, not realizing that her nose isn't going to be specifically in line with the ear. Since it's tilted downwards, it's going to be lower on the face. I did not realize that. And that also messes up her jawline a little. Another thing I should have done here is I should have added some height variation to her hair bun or hair knot up here, because when we get to shading, it kind of just looks like a giant sushi roll. Even with the texture that this art brush provides and the shading that I'm doing, my pen pressure shading, it just looks like a big sushi roll, and that's not really the look I intended for it. Also had some problems emphasizing her 3/4 view. If anyone doesn't know, this is Kitana from Mortal Kombat 11. I should point that out. I don't know if it was a render from like a 3D model, like 3D modeler, like from a fan, or this was an official render from the game. I'm not too sure. Kind of just picked it up off of Pinterest. Here we go with the shading. One thing I will say about this art brush is the texture the art brush provides lets me kind of provide a lot of texture and a lot of much needed form to the hair that I like, because you can see the different directions the hair is going, which I really like. So right here is what I tried to do is I tried to do the same thing down here, up here, and because of the lack of height variation and depth that I didn't add to this hairpiece, it kind of just looks like a giant sushi roll, even after I tried to add some direction variations to the hairpiece. Another problem with this brush, it does not let you kind of provide a lot of smaller details that other brushes would let you have, because it's so textured and you can't really get a much darker variation of the line without putting more pen pressure down, which makes the line bigger and leads to less details. Another thing I messed up here is she had some sort of like metal fashionings to the armor or whatever she's wearing. I don't know what you call it, and I didn't really know what to do with it because in the original reference image it wasn't that great. So what I should have done is just left it out, because it contributes nothing and just leads to confusion. But here's where the mistakes of the shading starts. Is this was gray and this was like a lighter version of gray. This was purple, and I think this was a darker gray up here. And the main problem in the drawing is when you have a lot of blues and blacks. So this whole area is shaded black because it's in dark, right? And her headband is also like a blue, dark blue. This is purple. This is dark gray. This is a little less darker gray, etc., etc. When you're shading black and white, it's very pick and choose what you want to emphasize with the shading and what you don't want to do. And what I did in this drawing was I kind of just shaded everything that had a resemblance to black and white. And what I should have done is I should have taken the original reference image and I should have inverted it to black and white, so I could have had a more tactical decision, a more informed decision on what to shade and what not to leave out. Because as you can see, without line weight, it leads to a lot of confusion as to what's in the foreground, what's in the midground, and if I had a background, what's in the background. Also messed up on our hairband. I wasn't looking fairly close, and I did not provide, a lot of shape to the hairband with the folds and stuff. The one thing I will praise in my recent drawings is I'm less chicken scratchy, and with time I've had more experience and more stability in line weight. Since I don't use any sort of stabilization, I've practiced longer lines that are less shaky and less chicken scratchy, and I've kind of embraced a little bit of the shakiness of my lines if it means that I have a better overall line than just chicken scratching my way to the line, to the destination where the line ends. I will give myself credit for that one. Once we get the shading the face, I want to point out what went wrong with shading the face. I kind of want to provide an example of what I want to do in future drawings. Here, her nose is a little bit too long, I feel. If her head was tilted, I think it would have been fine, the nose length, perhaps. But because I didn't realize the head was tilted, I kind of just followed my measurements without thinking. And that led to me not making the nose the correct length. Because it kind of looks like her nose is a little bit too long here. What I should have done here is I should have followed the example of diagonal hatching and then just diagonally hatched her eyelid. Or maybe did like a curved hatching right here and straighten it out. I'm a big fan of curved hatching nowadays. I don't really do flat hatching or shading anymore. Which is another problem I need to address in my future drawings, is introducing a lot more flat shading. But that's a different topic for a different video. Here I just did flat shading because I didn't know what to do. And my thought process here was, well, her cheekbone is curved, so I'm going to curve it down. And as a result, it kind of looks horrendous. I didn't even follow the same line direction as up here. It's like four different line directions from here to here to here to here. And then here. It's like 5. Another mistake I've made here was I don't really like leaving my eyebrows bare like this. I kind of provide the outline and then I use hatching kind of like to resemble the hair. But then what I like to do is I kind of define some of the lines down here. Like I wouldn't draw the entire eyebrow in line, but I would define maybe this part, like the beginning parts and maybe the end parts. Just a hint at the shape and not control the shape overall, which I forgot to do. And obviously this eyebrow was, I don't know what was happening here, to be honest. Should have made it bigger, made it shorter since she's in a 3/4 view. I should have connected the eyebrows to this defining nose line. Big mistake here with my line weight is usually in my drawings I like to provide a very big outline, very dark outline to make my drawing stand out, kind of like a Borderlands cell shaded type style. And the problem here was because I drew the hair piece, her hair strand over here, a little bit too long, it blends in with the 3/4 view and it doesn't provide that border that I'm looking for. I should have cut this and made it, you know, just stopped it up here so we can get that beautiful indent. And then what I should have done as well is, calling back to the lack of height and depth variation, is now with the black outline, it looks even more like a sort of like sushi roll, jelly roll thing. There's no depth to her hair like there was down here. So instead of providing a big dark outline like I usually do, what I needed to prioritize in this drawing was to get rid of this big dark outline and instead choose to highlight this fan. Because as it stands now, with all the shading I've done, and this is a problem with many of my drawings, is, and especially with this art brush, and I'm experimenting with new art brushes, is that it's not really a super duper big problem that it blends. Sometimes you can tell, sometimes you can't. But in this particular drawing, I should have done a big black outline for this. For right here, her collar, and this is like her bandana, like the back of her bandana dropping down. Should have done a big line weight right here. Big dark outline for her fan right here. And that would have worked to make her fan stand out, as well as to make it stand out the holes in her fan, because I think this part here, this part, these are all her bare skin showing through the holes in the fan. What I should have done is probably done like a diagonal hatching, or maybe I should have just left it alone because it blends in with the background, or it blends in with the fan and you can't tell what's going on at all. This whole head down, like ear down, is just what is happening. It's just a mess of shading that doesn't look good, nor does it just doesn't look good. For her face shading, I kind of wanted something like this, where you have a bunch of hatching, curved hatching, and cross hatching and curved cross hatching to define the shapes of her face, right? And this is a beautiful example, right? And I do not have a lot of experience doing that. I have a little bit more experience now because a couple weeks after this, I drew Kimberly from Street Fighter 6, and I've tried a variety of shading techniques because she is black. I've tried some shading techniques, and I've never really shaded a black person before. I've tried, and I didn't really have any good results with her or with previous study attempts. But I kind of know now what to do. I just need a little bit more experimenting. But what I did right here is what I should have done with her. Instead of just doing basically 5 different directions, I should have just hatched and cross-hatched instead of doing a flat face shading. So TLDR, I was not aware of her head placement. The head placement was wrong. She is looking down, not looking straight on. Therefore, her nose is looking weird. The length is a little bit too far maybe, and her nose is supposed to tilt down along with the rest of her features. And that's why when I provided the outline for the eyes, I had it down here. And because it looked weird, I moved them up, but that was the wrong choice because she's tilting her head down. I did not realize that. Should have cut this hair out up here and pronounced the indent in her eye socket. I should have gotten rid of this big black outline and instead chosen to favor her hairband, the back of her hairband, this fan, this collar right here, and just followed this line all the way through and provided a different shading direction for her bare skin showing through the holes in her fan and her armor. I should have hatched and cross-hatched in different directions instead of doing basically 5 different directions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I should experiment with more pencil brushes. I'm currently experimenting with pencil brushes and making custom pencil brushes. So there's going to be a lot of different brush styles in the future that I'm looking for. But overall, this entire drawing was a learning experience, and just to not blindly trust the reference image and to kind of follow my own judgment, because I was not even aware of these mistakes I've made until I looked back on the drawing and realized something went wrong in this drawing. So hopefully this self-critique can help you understand what things went wrong in your drawing, and it kind of helps me too because I can see what went wrong and I can hopefully alleviate some of these problems in the future. And what I got to do first of all is study more nose shapes, study cross-hatching on the face so it doesn't look like this, be more mindful of my line weight, and to experiment with more brushes overall. So I know what I have to do, and hopefully me knowing what I have to do and pointing out my mistakes will help you in your own drawings. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I want to wish you guys good luck on your own art journeys. Goodbye.